Hello, this is Veterans News, a production of the United Veterans Organization of Nassau County. My name is Ed Ullman. I'd like to thank Erica Bradley of North Shore TV for the use of her studio facilities here in Lake Success. Also, I'd like to thank Mike Peters for his technical support for providing the training for our crew. The show is broadcast on public access television. I'd like to say hello to both our viewers in Nassau and Suffolk counties. I'd like to thank Sabrina Lacey, the former commander of the VFW and the current chaplain of the VFW.
Former Suffolk County commander.
Right.
And commander of the Brentwood VFW. Thank you, Ed.
I'd like to thank our crew on camera 1, Robert Guarneri, camera 2, Mike Felix. Are you on camera 2, Mike?
No, I'm camera 3.
You're camera 3. All right. Mike Ferraro on the other camera.
2.
Gene Schurer. He's the assistant director, and he takes a lot of pics. Oh, he takes a lot of pictures. Graphic designer Loretta DeBrino. Graphics director Beverly Allman. She's my wife. Assistant producer Eric Spinner. Producer Ed Ullman. That's me. And the director, Robert Lane, who never gets enough credit, by the way. By the way, if any members of the crew would like to host this show, just find a guest. I'd appreciate that. Oh, boy. By the way, if you'd like to ask me a question or make a comment, go to mardiv1 at optimum.net. That's mardiv1 at optimum.net. Our guest today is Joseph Scarola, the newly elected commander of the Nassau County American Legion. We'll talk to our guest in a few minutes, but first let us remember some of the veterans who died recently. James Dowling of Smithtown was shot down over Germany 8 months before World War II ended. He was assigned to the 703 Squadron, the 445th Bomb Group, part of the 8th Army Air Corps. As a civilian, he ran the Smithtown Highway Department. Nicholas Leo was part of the Coast Guard of World War II. Most of his time in the Army, he made Hitler think we were even bigger than we were. Arthur Bond was a 99-year-old resident of West Hempstead and an Army Air Corps veteran of India and Ceylon. Alan Pepe of Long Beach was another veteran of the Army Air Corps who was recognized by General Dwight Eisenhower as a young and capable sergeant. Norman Baldwin, a graduate of West Point, he was a member of the VFW and the American Legion, and he lived in Brentwood. Patrick Keane was born in Ireland. He was waked in Wantor, and he was an Air Force veteran. Joseph Donahue was an ensign in the U.S. Navy. He served in the Caribbean during World War II. Raymond Dryhoff was of Rockville Center, was an Army veteran of the Korean War. Just 2 to go. Arnold Bank was Arnold was very interesting. Arnold Bank was a physician and an attorney, and he served as a major in the Army during the Vietnam War. He lived in Cedarhurst. Lastly, Eric Rosenbaum was an admiral in the U.S. Navy. He was a submariner and a 95-year-old veteran. If you know a veteran who died recently and you would like to hear their names mentioned here, please email me at mardiv1 at optimum.net. That's the end of Veterans News. Now it's time for our guest. Hello, Joe.
Afternoon. Pleased to be here.
Okay. You're the newly elected commander of the Nassau County American Legion.
That's right.
Okay.
It's really an honor.
All right. Have you met Sabrina, our co-host?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And welcome.
I understand you're from Long Beach.
Moved there 3 years ago. I really spent 40 years in Rockville Center. And we had this little summer bungalow in Long
Rockville
Beach.
Center?
In Long Beach.
Oh, okay.
And Hurricane Sandy did not do it very nicely. And we had this big 4-bedroom house and the children were gone. So we wound up demolishing the little bungalow and built an all-year-round house in Long Beach. Because you see, it's a magnet for the grandchildren.
Yes.
You built the house on the same property that
Right.
the house was destroyed
That's correct.
by Sandy.
That's right. And then we sold the big 4-bedroom house we had in Rockville Center, and now we live in Long Beach.
So how long have you been married?
56 years. Because
same woman?
we got married when we were 3. So,
That would only make you 56, 59 years old.
oh, you're counting. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you meet your wife?
We met in high school. Went to the high school prom together.
Which high school was that?
John Adams High School in Ozone Park.
Okay.
And I went to St. John's. She went to Queens, but we kept in contact.
Yeah.
And when I went into the Navy, we felt we would get married when we got out of the Navy, but then I got orders to the Mediterranean, and the ship was home ported on the French Riviera. So we got married, and we spent a whole year on the French Riviera. And the cruiser I was on just toured the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
I saw all the ports in the Mediterranean. I thought I was going to stay in for 30 years. It was
Yeah.
wonderful.
I'm curious, you went to St. John's, which is my alma mater too, but you joined the Navy when you graduated?
That's correct. I went to Officer Candidate School when I graduated St. John's.
What was Officer Candidate School like?
My first week, I said to myself, what did I get myself into? I can't believe I'm here.
Yeah.
And what year was that? Approximately.
July 65 until October 69.
All right. And the Vietnam War started when, Ed? And
Well, it started in 55, I think, or
But it got
56.
it got bad
Yeah.
a couple of years before that, 63, 62.
right. And then you joined during that time.
Yes.
Yeah. Were you
yeah.
afraid?
When you're young, you think it's always something will happen to someone else. When you're young,
Yeah.
you think you're immortal.
Yeah.
And
I went to Vietnam as a platoon commander of Marines, but I had the same feeling that nothing was going to happen to me.
yeah.
And Ed, how long you been married?
51 years.
Right. So both of y'all had deployment and separate from your wives. Because tell the viewers out there, there's some young ones that I counsel now. You know, I'm a minister too, and they only been married maybe for 3 or 4 years, and they think it's tough. What would you think you could tell the young ones that are married now? Because they're being deployed now. Some of them
Right.
going to Kuwait or wherever they're being deployed to, and they got to leave their families. What do you think a key thing that you can let those viewers out there know, some of our veterans that are being deployed as we speak?
I really don't know. I was single until I came back from Vietnam, and then we got married, and a year later I was out.
How about you, Bob?
It's hard on the family. I love the Navy so much. It's the most challenging thing I've ever had in my life, and I wanted to stay in for a career. But one of my deployments, I go overseas, and my son was 1.5 years. And I come back 6 months later, and I can't wait to come home so he can run and hug me
Yeah.
at the knees. He did not recognize me, and he hid behind his mother's leg. And I'm glad she recognized me when I came home. And that's when I had to make a decision that this is what the Navy's about. If you don't want to go out to sea, then you should join another branch of the military. And it was hard, and I've always regretted it from a challenging point of view, but from a family point of
Yeah.
view, I made the right decision.
Was there any of your children, did any of them join the military?
My children, no.
Yeah. And then did you, when you came back, when did you join the American Legion?
I was looking for a place for us to celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary. And the guy who signed me, rented the hall to me, said to me, we'll give you a free year for free membership if you join the American Legion. I thought, well, that's okay. And then one thing led to another, and I got more and more involved. And
And you had a family.
yes,
How many kids at that point?
my wife and I have 4 children.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but the American Legion is made up of
Yeah.
people who don't know how to say no. And So you take one task
Yeah.
and you do another task. And it's a great bunch of guys, great bunch of
Joe,
men and women.
Before we get to the American Legion, I want to know what you did in the Navy.
My first ship was a cruiser in the Mediterranean, and that's where I learned all the nautical lingo, what makes a ship operate. I was basically in operations. That's the radarman tracking the targets and communicating with other ships. My second ship was a little destroyer escort up to the North Atlantic, up around the Arctic Circle, between Iceland and Greenland and Norway. And we would track Russian submarines as they came down over Norway into the Mediterranean.
How did you track them? And what did you do to track them?
We had 6 destroyers, and we had a carrier with us, the Wasp, providing air support. And on the map, it may look like there's a large amount of space between Iceland and Greenland, but it's really very narrow if you look at a polar projection. And so it's like going through a door, that if you're going to catch them, you want to catch them in this narrow area. And so we would place our destroyers so that they had to go through this gate.
Yeah.
And then to run what you call it, a ship, right?
Yes.
I'm Army. Don't hold that against me.
Yeah.
I'm Army, right? To maintain that ship, and how long were you on the water or underneath the water?
Our destroyer was a surface ship. We were there for 6 months, from July until December. It was interesting that in July, the sun is in the sky for a long time. And as you get closer to December, the winter solstice, the days get very short until maybe there's only 1 hour of sunlight. So it was dark all the time, very depressing. And we had some low temperatures out there, sometimes never above -20. And so besides chasing Russian submarines, we were being chased by icebergs, and so we tried to flee from them as well.
And what was one of the things that you noticed about serving and during that time, being on the ship, you had to have really good teamwork. I know when I served, if the team wasn't cohesive, we wouldn't be able to accomplish our mission, whether you're a cook or a supply person, excuse me.
Yes.
So what do you think were one of the things that happened while you were on the ship in terms of keeping those teams in order? Because sometimes people had their little mental breakdown or whatever.
That's true in life in general, but the camaraderie or the shipmates, I've never experienced it in civilian life the way I did on a ship. The bond that you have, the brotherhood that you have, that they would do anything for me and I would do anything for them. And someone in civilian life doesn't understand that.
Because you know why, Bob? It takes a good leader to lead your soldiers or your, what do you call the Navy people?
Well, we have petty officers and sailors.
Yeah, and if you're a good leader, they're going to want to follow you. You don't have to ask. So a lot of times now people think that you, just because you have the pin or whatever, the stripes or whatever, you don't have to earn that direction of leading people. Am I right in what I'm saying? Because you were an officer in the military.
Yes. But I was given good advice that as a junior officer, the best thing you could do was to listen.
Right.
And so I learned very early to say, yes, Chief. Thank you, Chief. Thank you for telling me that, Chief. Yes, we should do that, Chief.
Very good.
So being a good listener is very important. And that helped me in Wall Street when I rose to vice president.
What did you work?
I worked in computers.
Which company?
A number of them. Long time with Merrill Lynch, Prudential Beige, Dean Witter, a couple of other companies.
Did you invest any money while you were down there on Wall Street? Because you know you could donate to our organizations now because we need it dearly. So I worked down on Wall Street, and I know that it was really good. I got a chance to invest in some good things because guys that I knew gave me the right direction from the New York Stock Exchange, so it was really good. So now it's different, but those companies still exist today. And I want to let the veterans out there know, right? You see our Nassau County commander sitting here. he's a past leader down on Wall Street. There's a lot that he can teach you.
That's right.
And you can experience. That's why you need to come join the American Legions and the VFWs, and you can learn how to be able to become a leader and make the 7 figures that most of our veterans want to make now. So what are some of the advice that you can give those veterans out there? Coming from serving in the military, now they decided to get out of the military. They have that leadership experience. How could they get that back on Wall Street to do what they need to do to make that 7 figures that they want?
Well, I found a work ethic. That's what I learned in the Navy, that it's amazing what you can do, not only with the team around you, but for yourself. A work ethic that what you make of yourself is what you put into it. And many times I'd be there in the morning, I'd be the first one at my desk. And when everyone was home, then I'd still be at my desk.
And how long were you with that company?
Oh, I was at Merrill Lynch for about 8 years. But again, I was with a number of companies in Wall Street.
Okay. So now you finished, you retired, right?
Yes.
Did you? And then now you are getting all your benefits and everything that you need, right? What now is all said and done? Now you can sit back. Now you run the county. All the veterans are dependent on you, right? So what are some of the things that you could say to them to make them want to come join you, American Legion?
I think what got me excited about the American Legion is the good that it's able to accomplish. It's a great platform, a vehicle for accomplishing good. The charities that we support, it's really veterans helping veterans. It's also giving back to the community. We support a Little League team, things like that in town. But it's veterans helping veterans. One of my particular charities that I'm pushing as a county commander, we call it the Legacy Scholarship Fund, that if someone dies serving their country, the American Legion will pay for that child of his to go to college.
Oh, nice.
The government doesn't do that, but the American Legion does.
Who does that?
That's at a national level.
National level?
At the American Legion, and money is contributed to that fund from all over the country.
Very good.
With the Veterans of Foreign War and the VFW, we have Patriots Pen, and we have two scholarship programs, 30,000, 40,000, or something like that. What does the American Legion have that the high schools and the elementary schools can do some kind of essay to get a scholarship or something from?
We have oratorical contests. We have, in fact, we give out scholarships to high school students who are great achievers.
Yes, I was at, my grandson graduated from Bayshore High School a couple of days ago, and I saw on their itinerary that the American Legions had donated money to one of the students. And I was like, I don't see the VFW on there. And I was like, well, I'm Suffolk County. And then when I went to do the research, because I like my research, it was from the Nassau County.
Right.
But we were in Bayshore.
Right.
So I found that very interesting that even though you're in Nassau County, you still could give scholarships outside of your jurisdiction.
Sure, sure. And we do that even within the county, because some posts are more successful than others. And so our posts will help others. In fact, Rockville Center has a building, and some of the posts around us do not. And so our Rockville Center will offer that building to the posts around us if they need to hold a function or, but it's veterans helping veterans.
Okay. I had one other question. You were talking, I love St. John's. When I came out of high school, St. John's gave me a scholarship to play basketball.
Oh.
But my mother told me I couldn't go out of the country because I lived in Brooklyn. All right. So I wound up going to Brooklyn College.
Oh.
So what year did you start in St. John's University?
61 through 65. And
you said it was around before then, and I'm just learning this.
Yeah, St. John's is, the school was started in the late 1800s, but they were a basketball powerhouse for decades. I mean...
well, let's give a shout out to those St. John's University basketball people who, and then they get a lot of scholarships and get to go to school, and some of them are joining the military, right? A lot of I'm finding a lot of guys that are going to college now. They let me correct myself. A lot of young men and young women are joining the military.
Right.
I just came from a high school, and I had one young lady. She was joining the Navy.
Right.
All right, and she wanted to be a Navy SEAL. She was only 4'7". How tall do you have to be to join the military? It doesn't matter?
I don't know.
No?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. There may be some height requirements for some specialty jobs, but in fact, in the time of war, whatever special requirements went away as far as height and weight.
Right.
So from the VFW point of view, in terms of recruiting, being a past county commander, it's very hard for us to recruit. I know you're having the same kind of thing that's going on now. But what would be one of the things as the county commander of Nassau County for the American Legions, what would be one of the things that you may do to achieve that goal, increase membership?
We have to encourage our posts. And at the county level, it's hard to bring in members because people don't like rejection. And you have to have a thick skin. And so maybe you're talking to someone or you're selling poppies and someone has an army hat and say, oh, do you belong to the American Legion? And you may do that 20 times. Mm-hmm. And no, I'm not interested. But maybe the 20th time you would. And some of the posts who are successful, that they keep at it. That it's okay to be rejected, but maybe you don't ask 20 people. Maybe you ask 40 people, and maybe you ask 60 people. And some of the posts who are active is because, and it's not just one person, everybody at the Legion, not just the commander, well, although he has to encourage it, that one of the reasons there are fewer members is because we haven't had this giant war. And
right.
400,000 of our people died in World War II. Fortunately, we haven't had a war, so we don't have that many wartime veterans. Mm-hmm. And so it's not like it was in 1945 or after Korea or Vietnam or after World War I. And so we have to be more active in getting that. They have to understand, our veterans, that if we shrink, that we'll lose our benefits.
Yes. Because
in numbers, there's power, there's clout, there's voting. And we have to make sure that they know that if we want Congress to keep our benefits, especially to the guys who really need it, that we need you.
I agree with you, Bob, and I would just want to reach out there and tell them also, if you don't come and join with us, all right, because we're getting a little bit older. I'm only 50-something now. If you don't come join us, the benefits that you're receiving now, if you're receiving $3,000, that's not enough to pay your mortgage or your rent, as you will concur with that, right? We need more benefits. So what you're receiving now is good for right now. But look at that number. What's going to happen in 3 years from now? Yeah. Where will you be? Because there's other people coming out of St. John's University, Ivy League schools like Harvard, and they're going down to Wall Street, and you're going to compete with them, and they're going to be making maybe, you got to make over $150,000 now to really be comfortable without losing your mind, right? And that's just basic. So you got to come down and find out what else can you do to add to yourself for the future. Yeah. And the future is where you're going. And if you get deployed today and you're making a job, you're making a certain amount of money, and you are an officer in the military or you're enlisted, but you down on Wall Street and you're vice president and you go join the military, your salary is going to go down. That's where we come in at. We support your families while you're deployed. So come join us.
Joe, is there anything else about the American Legion, anything you would like to do as commander?
We have a number of posts that, I would say of the 52, 54 posts that we have, there's maybe 6 to 9 posts that are struggling. And to emphasize with those posts, help them, have guys from the county level, encourage them as far as membership, and maybe paperwork. Sometimes we have a commander who's been commander for like 12 years, and he's 85. He doesn't want to be commander anymore. He doesn't want to have to do the paperwork for membership. And so to have a team approach those 9 to 12 men posts to help them. So that's what we've already started, identifying those 6 to 12 posts and making a dedicated effort for those posts.
Where are some of those posts? Where are they?
really all over Nassau County. I mean, I can mention their names, but they're in Hempstead, Westbury, on the North Shore, South Shore.
Right. Yeah, even my post in Syosset, we have a beautiful building, but we have about 8 or 10 show up at a meeting.
Right.
I had in Suffolk County, and I'm looking at the different organizations, and they're phasing out, and they just moving, and they leaving the places. If they keep leaving the places, that's going to go back to the town, and then we're going to have less veteran organizations in the community. And then when those guys come back, or if you're, like my grandson just graduated from high school, he may decide to go into the military. So when he comes back, if there's a war or something that's going on, they're not going to have anything to fall back on. And then I just want to, before we go, and Ed, I just want to touch on with the commander here. What is your viewpoint of the closing of the VAs?
The VA is not closing. It was just in,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yes.
It was in today's Newsday
Right.
that Schumer was announcing that the VA has agreed to leave Northport alone
Yes.
and to put some more money into it.
Yes.
I
But we
didn't
have
know
to.
that.
Yeah, it
But
just happened today.
We have to be, Ed and Bob, we have to be vigilant and know strategically, right? The government and the whole nation needs money. Where's the money at, all right? Our VAs are very stocked because most of them are by the water, whatever the case may be, okay? So I want to make note out there. I heard you said that they said they weren't going to close it. Don't make it an example of something that happened inside the facility, it becomes toxic or something, and you close it down. Because you said you wasn't going to close it down, all right? Because I got my eyes on you, and I had my eyes on you since you closed Walter Reed, and you said it was toxic, and that's why you took that over. So we're watching you.
Okay. Do you have any funny stories about your time in the service? I mean, something unusual happened to everybody.
Sure. One time
Okay.
I was on shore. We had just spent 6 months up in the North Atlantic, and before going home, they brought us down to the Caribbean, and so I think it was in St. Thomas, and so we got a call from a motel up the hill, and the complaint was from the manager: your sailors are jumping off the balcony without clothes into the pool. So it was just a terrible
Very
night.
good.
You know, we have all the, picking guys up, bringing them back, because we're worried that they would get mugged because so the chief petty officer said, ma'am, how do you know if they're sailors if they have no clothes on? So, all right, we'll send a truck up there. We'll go up there. But of course, by the time the truck went up there, they work hard and they play hard.
And they did it as a team.
And they did as a team.
Yes.
The camaraderie I've never seen in civilian life as they did on ship.
Can you say that they have that with the American Legion too? The comradeship, is that an extension of that?
I think so. I think when I talk to people in the Marines or the Army, the Air Force, that camaraderie exists in the other branches too.
Very good. Joe, what's that emblem on you? That right, what is that?
This is the commander of the Nassau County Commander.
Okay. All right, and all those other?
I belong to the 48, which is the Honor Society of the American Legion. This is the Legion of the Year. So all the posts that submit a resume, and if your resume is selected as Legionnaire of the Year. And this is the one I'm very proud of, a past commander of the post.
Oh, very good. Okay.
And I just want to say thank you for your service and thank you for the longevity of your marriage and holding your family together after serving our nation. And we commend you for
You're
that.
very kind.
Okay.
And thank you.
I'd like to thank Robert Lane, our director, Loretta DeBrino, Eric Spinner, Bob Guarneri, Gene Schurer, and Mike Ferraro and Mike Felix. And I hope I haven't forgotten anybody. Thank you very much, crew. And we're almost out of time. Yes, wave.